You are listening to the Starter Girls podcast with Amy Lafitte
and Jennifer Loading.
And whether you are starting a business, starting a project, starting a brand, or starting a movement, we are here to talk about it. And I'm really excited to be in studio today. We actually have a brand specialist in, so we're really going to be able to talk about starting brands and businesses and everything like that, Jennifer. And I know you and I have also started very many business and brands as we've been building our life.
We have. 20 years for me.
I know. And if you're an Instagram junkie or a social media junkie, you've got to follow Jennifer Loading on Facebook, Instagram. She is like the girl. She is like the queen of posts. I love it.
I try. And it's so interesting. We talk about that all the time, social media, because it is a lot of work. It's like a job. I mean, for real. It's like a real job to think of stuff. I mean, you got to come up with creative things, and how are you going to grab your audience? And it's like every day when I'm working on that, I have to sit down and I'm like, what do I want to look at when I jump on Facebook and Instagram? What would be calling me, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that we have a guest here today that specializes in brand, strategy and all of that good stuff. I'm super excited to hear from her and what she's got going on there.
I completely agree.
So what's been exciting going on in your world this week?
I'm excited that it's Valentine's week.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fun that you've got like a whole holiday about love and just like the love of other people and the things that we love ourselves. I don't know. I just think it's always fun to kind of talk about it and focus on that, and it's better energy, right?
Right.
Than focusing on what's wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. We do that every day, right?
Yeah. Well, or at least the news cycle tries to, or I feel like it's definitely something that I was just actually thinking about this morning because when I was a jazz singer, there was a lot of focus on the negativity. And I didn't even realize it because I was in an environment when I was at University of North Texas, because it was the best of the best of the best of like the whole world, that we were so critical. Like I remember going to like a Christmas concert with like the Dallas Orchestra, the Dallas Symphony, and they were amazing. And like my parents were so excited they got to take me, and literally like at the end I was like, well, in the third movement and the second section they were flat for a little bit, and like
goodness.
I mean it was so bad.
Right.
It was so bad. It was like probably one of the most negative points in my life.
Well,
I'm so glad I don't live like that.
I was gonna say you didn't have like the old Mary Kay training that we did where you sandwich the negativity between two layers of praise. Like you rocked this scene, right? But you did terrible right here. So we've been kind of spoiled in that culture, so we get that whole, you're going to say something bad, we got to sandwich that between some great praise.
It's true, and it's funny because I sometimes think that's, like now it's so part of my DNA of just the positivity and the self-improvement and always growing, and I do look at myself before I was a part of that culture, which was a really positive culture, and I kind of don't even recognize myself, like myself.
Right.
Like it's really true.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I say, I always joke about this all the time because I think when you have been immersed in that for so long, you do sort of, as they say, get in your own little pink bubble, and it's very difficult for, I'm sure you can relate to this, for us to look at other people and think, why do they think like that? Why do they operate like that? I just don't, how's that even serving them well?
Yeah.
How's that working out for you? I mean, I would just rather live in my happy pink bubble. I mean, we all have garbage happen every day, but at least we can be happy.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And Amy is always happy.
I am.
We were just talking about that before the show. When she's mad, but she's hardly ever mad. So
yeah, it's true.
We love it. So I was trying to think, what has been going on? It's been just crazy busy, and I know tonight we're gonna plan to do a little networking and get together for a fun event. We're going to be bringing some cool things to this podcast. We're super excited about that. But I say this every week because I'm still working on my happiness project book, Gretchen Rubin, for our guests that are here today. And it's so funny, I keep reading that and it's like I'm trying to get through the book, but like I've mentioned before, she is a big storyteller.
Yeah.
And so she gets on these stories and then I'm like, okay, I got a lesson for today. That might be a post I'm going to put up. Shut the book. So my big thing I thought would be really cool is to talk about happiness. And one of the quotes, I'm not sure if I put it on here, I think I mentioned it on one of the podcasts, that she says, in order to be happy, you got to make other people happy, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you make other people happy? You act happy. It's like a,
It's so true.
And I talked about it. In fact, I was listening to it on one of the other podcasts. That just keeps resonating with me because it's always, we've talked about that whole fake it till you make it. And how many years did we hear that and we thought, what is fake it till you make it? It just sounds really weird, but think about it. If you wake up and you're saying, I'm tired, what do you do all day? You're tired.
Yeah.
Right? Day. If you wake up and you say, I'm ready to get out there and do something amazing, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to be excited, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's awesome. And that book, she always comes back to the same thing. And somehow that particular little passage has been stated in there a couple times in that book. So I read it again today. Read it again. So I thought what would be cool is for our Starter Girls weekly top 3, we could base it on happiness. And what are the top 3 things that make Amy happy?
Oh, I love talking about those things. So I would say my first is nature. I love to be in nature. I love seeing nature. I'll even throw animals in there with that. You know, I've got like 4 dogs and I've had a million animals over the years. And so I love that. But that always centers me. It grounds me. It's my happy place. I was even like a biology major. So, you know, like I'm all about nature. So that first, I would have to say music second. I think music just, it transforms your brain and your thought processes, and it elevates you, and it can be so awesome for your mood. I mean, I don't know, there's just something really magical about the brain-body connection when you're listening to music. So I think that's a really powerful thing. And then the last one I would have to say is learning. So I, in my 5, my top 5 strengths and strength finders, number 3 for me is input. So I have to have tons of information coming through. I'm the queen of Google. I think it's actually one of the reasons why it's easy for me to interview people, because I have questions. Like, I want to know about people's lives. I sat next to a pilot one time for a 3-hour flight, and I literally didn't run out of questions to ask him about being a pilot.
Oh my goodness. I so see this.
Yeah, it was so fun. So, and then my number 5 of the top 5 is also learner. So input and learner, it's like a double whammy of like, I have to know all the things. And not even that I even have to apply them. I just have to know all the things.
That's awesome.
So yeah, those are my top 3. What about you?
Top 3. Okay, so I would say my number 1 would be probably my children, my kids. I don't know, they're not even little people anymore. They're like big humans now. Aww. You know, like this weekend I had them all together. Paige came in town from Arkansas, and so I got to get all 3 of them together, which was a lot of fun. I never am able to get a picture of all of them at the same time. It drives me crazy. It's like I'll get one, the other 2, whatever, but I did get them all here. So I would say my kids would be my number 1, that they are healthy, thriving, and I would say they're pretty successful at what they do. I love it. So that would be that. And then my 2 would also be animals, because I, like Amy, have lots of animals. And dogs and cats and rabbits and fish, and some of them are my kids and I've acquired them, but they've all become, kind of part of my existence. And I'm not sure what my life would be like without animals. I don't know. You're probably like me. I've just had them my whole life.
Yeah, what about the born-again gecko? Is he still in the mix?
He is. Titan, yes, the born-again gecko. I'll have to share that story with Krista sometime.
Oh my gosh.
My son has a gecko named Titan that rose back from the dead. Was buried alive, apparently, and came back from the dead. She's looking at us right now like, is this for real? Yes, when you have a boy, when you have a son, you have weird stories.
Yeah. You do. Boy moms, right? Hashtag boy moms.
And we've had a snake that's disappeared and turned up like 48 hours later behind a refrigerator.
That was exciting.
Yeah.
Krista's like, nope, not for me.
Yeah, we're not getting any more of those. But we do still have Titan. We do still have the gecko.
That's awesome.
And then my number 1 would be chocolate.
Chocolate.
I love chocolate. Okay, and the funny thing about chocolate, because you guys don't all know this, because Amy and I have known each other for a little while, but she doesn't know this either. So people that have grown up with me, my family, my friends, know that my entire life I have hated chocolate.
What?
Yes. Yeah, okay, so our Facebook viewers are going to get to see this. They're all looking at me like right now, like, what? Okay, so yes, I've hated chocolate my entire life. And then when I went keto in 2016, it was like all of a sudden I developed this new love for chocolate. And like the darker, the better. So like now I have to go to the store, and if I'm not going to make my like healthy keto chocolate, that's my stevia, I sneak and I go get the little sugar-free chocolates. Hershey's has these little bags of them. You can eat 4 of those, and they're like 120 calories. So
you always talk about your sugar-free chocolate. So this is what it is. I always thought it was like the Russell's Stouffer's.
They have those too.
Yeah, I know, but I thought that's what you were always getting.
But I have gotten those too. But I like the Hershey's. They just have like little Hershey's dark chocolate, and they're sugar-free. I mean, they're not. They've got the sugar in it that we don't like to talk about in the keto world. But if you're not going to make keto-friendly, low-carb chocolate, which I usually do, and I have those in the freezer, these are backups.
The backups.
They're backups. When you need chocolate.
What about Lily's? I just discovered Lily's last night because I needed chocolate, and I was like, okay. So they have they're chocolate bars, and they're made with stevia.
I haven't seen those yet. I need to find them.
I know,
Hello.
Lily's. Yeah,
Hello.
give it a go. So
Yeah.
I think you'll like that.
So yeah, chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I
That's
can
so
eat it every
awesome.
day, multiple times a day. So that's been fun.
That is.
Awesome.
I know. Well, I'm super excited that we get to finally talk about our guest that is going to be on here today with us. And I'm just going to share, she has an amazing bio, and so I'm going to cover what I can, and then I'll let her fill in the gaps. But Krista is a brand strategist, and she's an influencer in the global beauty market. And as a creator of over 60 actual notable brands, she has become a go-to for large-scale retail brands, global manufacturers, boutique brands, and startups. And her brand consultancy is called Thriving Brands, and she has built a reputation of translating market opportunity into profitable growth plans for its brand partners. Krista is an industry speaker at some of the largest beauty industry forums and conferences, and I will just touch lightly on the fact that she's also the owner of The Girl Cave, which is a women's media company, and The Weekender Dallas, and she does these amazing events in Dallas that not only have I participated in, but also been able just to go and watch, and just the community that she creates within women entrepreneurs is really powerful. I will also share that she has been a former title holder in the USA and America pageant systems as well. She has coached women in both modeling and as a pageant coach, and has appeared on Good Morning Texas, local television commercials, talk shows, training videos, and TV pilots. So I'm really excited to bring her on the show today. I think she's going to be able to share a lot of really unique things. So Krista, welcome to our show.
Hi. You put me in my happy place.
I know, I'm excited listening to all of that. Like, I was getting chills listening to that. You are a rock star.
Oh, thank
like, she's
you.
being all humble and modest over here, and I'm like,
you.
oh my gosh, look at that, those accolades.
I didn't know those things either.
Like, I'm like, we need to be like friends. I'm like, you got all kinds of girls. We get so excited when we get around women that I would say are rocking their scene. Like, you are just,
Thank you. Thanks.
you're obviously, and we always talk about this, like, some people hate that word hustler. I love it, because you know what that means? You are making things happen, girl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People know, like, they know people that are making things happen. Oh my gosh, I love her already.
I knew you would.
Yeah, I'm like, and
I just got lucky. I got to grow up with her. So.
I know. I love it. I love
Yes.
it. So we like to start off with some quick rapid fire questions, just so our audience can get to know you a little bit. So, all right, we kind of know this already, but so our people know. Morning or night person?
I'm a morning person.
Yeah, and she told us that.
Obnoxiously morning person.
I love it.
I'm that girl.
So why do you say obnoxiously?
Because people don't. I'm up at 4 a.m. high energy, ready to go. I'm like, hi, good morning,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, bring
She's
it
a
down,
lion.
bring it down a little bit. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, that's why you're in great company, because so am I.
Yeah.
Amy and I have this little thing, like, she's the night person, I'm the morning, so it's not uncommon for her to wake up to vocal text messages, and then she'll send them to me sometimes, and I'll get up in the morning, I'm like, what is this? This came through at like midnight. Like, I'm up at 5 a.m. ready to roll.
We both wake up to text messages from each other. It's just I send them at night, and you send them in the
I send
morning.
them and she knows, like, I'm excited, I'm ready to go. I'm like, my brain's already been going, so I love it. I love it. You get a lot done in the morning.
You do. Very productive.
Right?
Set your day.
Exactly.
Set your day. But my problem is I'm still up at 12.
Oh,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm sometimes up too. So you're going all the time, like I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. All right, cat or dog person?
You know what? I haven't had success with pets. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm coming and going. I did have a cute little dog, Pepper. I don't know if you remember
I
Pepper.
remember her.
Pepper disappeared.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Okay,
no.
somebody really stole her, and it
my
is
gosh.
sad, but I'm trying to keep some humor about it. But
Yeah.
she is a 2.5 ounce or pound teacup, not ounce, teacup, and a year ago she.
Somebody found a cute dog. Decided to
It was
get
right
that.
before Christmas too, with her little Christmas dress on and everything. Yes, I'm
Interesting.
that dog owner. I will dress my dogs. They do have
You
clothes.
could always get a fish.
Until they jump out of the bowl.
And then who was it? We had somebody on here that we were talking about
last week.
Was it we were talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, it was our last guest. We were talking about your fish try to commit suicide,
Oh no.
like they do. They jump out of the bowl sometimes.
I would forget. I think that the bowl would be a little too.
Yeah, you gotta put a
Get
plate.
lost, yeah.
Maybe put a plate on it.
Yeah.
Slam wrap and put a hole in the middle, right? So the air comes in. All right. So, what is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza.
I can eat pizza for, nobody knows this, but I could eat pizza for days.
Doesn't matter.
I do like gourmet pizza.
Gourmet?
I mean, I'm not going to name the ones I wouldn't, but I do love like a good artichoke and chicken, anything exotic, you know, sweet potato, squash, feta.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, goat cheese.
Yum.
Yeah, pizza.
I think we were talking about food last week. I'm hungry again.
So where's your favorite pizza joint in the DFW area?
Ooh, that's tough. There's Taverna Rosa, and I discovered Turbo Coffee. You'll know that in the Colony.
I've heard of that.
They have a fig and prosciutto cauliflower pizza.
Yeah.
That I absolutely
eat that.
love.
We can too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cauliflower pizza crust is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I defer to that mostly, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I had, well, we make pizza that way because we do low carb, so we sort of cut that to be right up our alley.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, cool. So tell our listeners just like a little bit about you, your background, you know, how you got into your career. You know, you own basically several businesses, so kind of how all that unfolded. I think people would really love to know.
Yeah. Well, actually, I went to SMU and here in Dallas, and I was actually going to be a psychologist. I was determined to be a psychologist. I thought, oh, I can give back to the world. And no, I had a mentor, and she said, this is not your calling. She said, this is not the career for you. So as you know, at SMU, you just can't waste time and money.
Yeah.
I had to think quick, and so I added advertising as a second major and started interning at all the companies that I could. I fell into a company called Proline at that time and was their intern for the brand management team and fell into my career. I absolutely didn't even know what brand management was when I walked in the door that day, and then here I am 20 years later, you know, as a brand strategist. So you know, your career and your talents definitely find you.
They do.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you doing anything else. I
can't
can't
either.
imagine you being a psychologist.
I can't either. I tried out for HSN and QVC. I made it to round 2, but I wanted to be like a news reporter, somebody who was doing something on camera, but that didn't work out. I didn't make it.
Yeah. So I'm interested to know about some of these businesses that you have. So tell us what you're doing with all this. It sounds like you just got a lot of amazing things going on. I'm not even sure where to start. So just tell us, I guess, maybe what is the thing that maybe you're working on right now, and the thing that you're most, like, what are you most excited about right now?
Well, I am transitioning. As you know, we all go through several phases of our career and our purpose. We evolve, I guess, and you know, consulting has been very good for me as a brand strategist. I've been able to do quite a bit and be a part of a lot of growth plans. But my heart and soul really is in the Girl Cave, launching this media company. We are launching an online magazine at the end of February, so that's a huge undertaking, and it's where I need to be. I've always, as a consultant, wanted to help women-owned businesses, and I've consulted a number of different brands and companies, but my heart has always been, I always give a little extra for the women-owned businesses that I become acquainted with, and so I just transition that passion into the Girl Cave, and that's what we do. We create media opportunities, brand activation opportunities for women-owned businesses.
This is
And
exciting.
there we go. Yeah.
I'm loving it. I gotta check this thing you've got going here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta check this out. I know she sent me information on it yesterday, and I started to kind of go through there and look at it. I'm like, I definitely gotta check this out.
Yeah.
Look, she's like her own starter girl.
Oh.
She is.
She's her own.
She is. She's like the face that launched 1,000 starter girl ships.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. I don't know.
No,
That's a high compliment. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just get to be a part of people's dreams. Actually, it's the dream. They are the dreamers. We just put them in the right positions to flourish. I can't really take credit for that, other than just that I wholeheartedly and passionately do whatever I can to support them.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's a lot of what it is. I mean, especially when you're dealing with people that have those visions and dreams. It's like, what do you do to capitalize that? Where do you take that? You know, like they've got this idea, like, how do you get that out there? Again, like we were talking about social media, put it out there so that what do the people want to see, and how's that going to match with your vision and your dream?
Yes. Yeah.
Pull it together.
Yeah.
I love it. I want to chat with you.
Social media is tough, I'll tell you.
Yes.
I'm good at the content and the messaging strategy, but the day-to-day management of it, I'm like kindergarten level. It's a tough job.
It is.
It's a tough job, and it's so competitive now to play. I mean, you really have to play hard, all the time,
Right.
24 hours. You need somebody to manage it. You need a second person.
Exactly. I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, she's like, when can I hire somebody
Right.
to do this?
This is like our conversation all the time. It's like the first thing we do, we need to like strategize here, because the first thing we do is we need somebody to help with social media.
I know.
Because it wears me out. It really does. I mean, it's a lot of work, and in trying to get your message across, and you know, a lot of it, I mean, you can be excited, and in that face-to-face you can have that communication with people, but the people on the platforms, to try to get those masses, they're not seeing you all the time.
Right.
They're not around you, so that you've got to get your message, your excitement through that platform.
Right.
You know, it's like, how do you do that? That's where Krista comes in.
Among many other things.
She is. I love it. I love it.
It's so awesome. So I want to know kind of like the origin of all of this. So like if we go back to like your childhood, what were some of the experiences? What were some of the things that either made you who you are today, or like what you're doing? How did that all kind of flourish together?
Yeah. Well, I've always been a dreamer. Like so one of my strengths, you talked about your strengths finder. Mine is activation, and it's futuristic. And so even I can remember my family telling me at 5 the things that I would do. Like I would pretend like I was a princess, and guess what? At 18, not even correlating at the time that it's going back to some childhood play and interest. That's what I did. And I didn't do pageants because I wanted to be beautiful on a platform. I did pageants because I thought, wow, I get to speak and I get to meet other people. It was all this, the other soft skills that are involved in becoming a better person and having a better, a stronger character. And so like we said, your gift and your talents always find you. And as a child, those kind of always had little trickles of, like the fairy dust was always there, I guess.
Yeah.
So. No, and I think I think we're true to who we are as children. I mean, I think, I always tell this story, and we've talked about this on here before, because I'm, the futuristic, you and I, that's not my number one. By the way, that is my number one.
She is.
I look big picture, and if you come to me and you're like negative, I'm done. Check out. I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to find the people that are on the same vision with me that want to run, because that's where my energy is. But it's so interesting. We've talked about this on another show, like even when as a child, and when you're talking about the pageant, I always say your thoughts become actions. They end up showing up later on. Well, for me as a child, I would sit around and create businesses. Like I would come up with, like, how are we going to take this idea that we have and we're going to create this, how we can make money on this? And I don't know that I was always great at executing the actual plan, because I'm not great at that part of it, but the vision I would have, and I was good at getting my friends on board, like, hey, let's do this, and after a while I think they got tired of me, but interestingly enough, I think as we go through life, we kind of repress some of that sometimes, because things start happening to us. We get other jobs, we take on other duties, and some of that creativity goes away. You've been very blessed, I think, that you tapped into that very early and moved, because for me personally, a lot of that was kind of repressed. And then all of a sudden, I decided, after 20-something years of being in the same industry, that I really like being creative. I like being able to tap into that zone, and everybody calls me when they have a business idea. They're like, they call Jennifer because she might be on board. She might have an idea. It's like just this week alone, I had 2 people call me about 2 different things. I'm like, I gotta think about that. But because I'm like, we might need to do something with that idea.
I know. Well, and I've been wanting to ask you this all day, because I was thinking about the pageants. And I was thinking about the way, like, in the age that we grew up, everything was about being perfect. It used to really be that. I mean, I think about, like, the 90s especially. Like, it was always about being perfect. And now we live in this age where social media has made it where you need to be genuine, and you need to be authentic, and you need to be real. And so I'm curious, how has that affected the pageant world? Or has it at all?
Yeah, well, let's take it individually. There are going to be some people who still haven't caught on to the authenticity train. I mean, people are struggling with their souls. They're struggling with themselves and their identity. That's just real. That's just kind of the nature of where we are in the world today. I'm not being negative. That's just the reality.
Sure.
It's a very small percentage who are brave enough to just be who they are and live boldly. So I will say that it's not the pageant world. I think you're going to get a mixed bag. You're going to get women who are confident enough to just come up there and whatever parameters they think beauty is for them. And then there's going to be some that have let a board or someone else tell them what they should be. And that's not a pageant world thing. That's a conditioning thing. That's that's a growing and a learning and an working through your own insecurities thing. So I wouldn't necessarily attach it to the pageant world. There's a lot of great benefit, and those that are struggling with insecurities and finding their identity, you never know, that experience may just be the thing that helps them tap into it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is good.
I love that.
I'm going to agree with all of what you said 100%, because it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. And that's, when we talk about Starter Girls, why we started this podcast really was about empowering women. Yeah. Because we know from having been in that industry, which 90% I would say of the people that we were working with were women. And how many of those women that came into our lives, and I know even me, struggled with these conditional, these issues, self-esteem issues, whatever these conditions are, these limitations that we put on ourselves. And there is something, I think, great, and it may be that very event. We don't know what it is for everybody because everybody's on their own timetable. Yeah. But it's definitely, it's one of those things where when you find that moment, then you're free.
Yeah,
you're free.
Yeah, I always say this when I talk about the Girl Cave, because the premise of the Girl Cave is to have beauty positive messaging, and I don't mean beauty as it means from an aesthetic perspective. I mean from the inside out. And I heard this quote and it hit me that worthiness is the least scarce resource available.
Wow.
Worthiness.
Wow.
And I always, when I talk to people, I let women, just really digest that and seep in that. And so many of the things that we do today are just trying to get people just to realize their worth. Let's start there. I think that's the fundamental, that's the foundational thing to anything. Lack of worthiness impedes, achieving your purpose. It impedes healthy relationship. It impedes, just being able to do normal everyday life authentically. Yeah. And so if we could be ambassadors for just allowing people to sit in their worth every single day, that would be like the ultimate.
Gosh,
that would be
amazing.
Yeah.
Like you could sprinkle some fairy dust, right? Don't you just wish sometimes?
I wish there was a button that we could do it for everyone.
Right? You could
just a hard thing.
Could you just turn the switch on and you're like, you are worthy. Like we're not going to have this conversation anymore. You mastered this. You figured it out, right? You are worthy.
There.
You raise your level of deserve,
yes.
right? You raise it, and when you do that, oh my goodness, it just makes people are attracted to that. People get excited about people who that believe in themselves. I always talk about that even with being excited. When you're excited, people get excited.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that goes back to the worth. You've got to be excited about what you're doing and feel like you deserve what you're doing. And,
yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting like chills sitting in here. Like I feel like we're having like this little moment right now. I love it. You are so awesome.
It's so fun. The thing I really love about Krista too is she's really good about actually capturing that in person with people. Like I think she exudes that feeling and that essence, and I think that's another piece that as women, like we were talking a little bit earlier about women and sisterhood and supporting each other and all of that, I think we have all had moments where people did not make us feel worthy, especially if you go back to like high school or whatever, but so I think as women, like if we can also exude that to our fellow woman, that we all are worthy, I think that's a really valid thing that we could even do on a daily basis to kind of exercise, make people feel different. So, for sure. And we were talking about that a little bit before about sisterhood and supporting women, and can we talk a little bit about that, because that was a really fascinating conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough conversation, as you know, because if you don't have worth, you can't treat people. If you can't treat yourself with compassion, it's very difficult to treat others with compassion. Right. And I think I think the biggest responsibility starts with you. And when I wake up in the morning, and not this isn't being lofty, but I want to make sure that I'm serving others. Every day that I wake up, it's not about necessarily what I want to do or how I feel. It's how am I serving through my responsibilities. We have a responsibility to others, right? To keep people intact and to uplift them and to be examples. And yes, we are examples. People say, I don't have to, act a certain way for other people. Well, there's some misnomer. There's some right. That's shrugging responsibility out, because you do. Right. When you walk into a room, you have a responsibility to make people that interact with you feel good and walk away with something better than what they did when they walked in that room. So I think when we talk about sisterhood, we're in the year of the woman. Y'all know that, right? 2020 is the year of the woman.
I love it.
Yes, it's amazing, and I feel that energy. But it's also going to part the seeds. You're going to see the people who won't be able to move forward and collaborate, because it's incumbent upon us to collaborate. That's how we are all going to get to the finish line, is to help each other. And those that are not able to do that, unfortunately, are going to fall off. They're going to be exposed, I guess is the best way that I can say it. If you can't play nice, nobody's going to be playing with you.
Yeah.
And that's just really the reality of the day. So, get yourself in check. Find out what it is that makes you uncomfortable with interacting with women in an authentic and a kind manner, and learn through it, because it's kind of that we have to learn how to support each other right now. We really do.
There's a couple things she said there. I was thinking about the Girl Scouts when she said, leaving the room, and like the whole thing about helping other people. I always think about Girl Scouts, you leave the place cleaner than when you came in there, right? So I'm thinking about the same thing. But it is true with people, because, one of the things that I was listening to when you guys were talking, and it kind of made me think of, is that when you have the confidence, and especially when you get into situations where you are around somebody that's not making you feel good about yourself, it allows you to do a couple things. One, it allows you to, I always say, guard your energy, because I'm a very big guarder of energy, and we've always talked about this, is that I'm very good at reading people, so I always know when I'm in a room where this is not a situation where I'm going to feel good about myself, I'm exiting. I'm going to figure out a way to get out of this, because I don't want to be in it. But the other thing is about having that confidence, it allows you the ability to diffuse situations. And so now, if you're getting into a situation where you're with somebody and you know that you're on a different playing level here, this is going to be a tough conversation, how are you going to solve that problem? Like, how are you going to make this person feel better about yourself so you can get out of there? That's what I'm thinking ultimately when I'm in those situations. And so it's good to have that, because there have been many times where you think when people are in a situation, if somebody would have just been a bigger person in the room, what I mean? Like, been able to make a different decision. But again, people do the best they can with what they have from where they are. They do the best that they can. I think everybody tries to really do the best they can. And that's where I think the reading and the knowledge comes in, and constantly working on yourself to be better all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they always say you fall back on whatever training you have. So whatever, in every situation. So the more that you have that knowledge, that skill set, it really does make a big difference. Well, and you were talking about the definition of sister, and I thought that was really interesting as well. So I'd love for you to share.
And please, if I get it wrong, I apologize. We might need to Google that on the dictionary. But it means to prop up or to stand up. I think that's the gist of what we learned. Is so I would have never thought. I thought it was like two girls who by blood were put together. But no, it actually the Latin meaning, the root of sister is to prop up. And
I like it.
So I thought that was very, very interesting as it relates to sistering. And so that also means that your sister, whoever you become sisters with, number one, doesn't have to be a family member. And sometimes we know that in business, for sure, that's not necessarily the one that we defer to for our sistering, right?
Absolutely.
But definitely is that prop up, and how can I support you first? How can I serve you first? Because I do believe once you do that comes back to you.
100%.
Yeah, for 100%. Sure. Yeah. Every decision that we make fortifies us. Doesn't mean that we go into that situation saying, I'm going to do this because I get this in return. But anytime that I've had to, in tough situations with other women, I've had to take the high road, or something may have really hurt me, or something I didn't believe was, done properly, or they didn't treat me the right way. When I am able to show them kindness, and despite what they've given me, it only makes me a better person. At the end of the day, that person is walking away too, saying, maybe there's some conviction, maybe I didn't handle that properly, because she didn't succumb to that, and she didn't give me what I gave her back. I think that's always an opportunity also to fortify your own character.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
So, I would agree with you on
I think it's interesting too. My husband and I were talking about that this week of, there's times where situations don't roll in your favor, and there's times that you don't necessarily even say something or do something, like you said, take the high road, and what's funny is I think like when we are that person that feels jilted or whatever, we sometimes think like nobody else saw it. Yes. But what I've really found over time is people see it.
Yes, they do.
And so, you can maybe not stand up for yourself, but it doesn't mean that people didn't watch that happen and didn't see it. So I've really learned over time, it's so important about what my decisions are, how I act.
I would agree.
What I do, because just because somebody else tries to belittle me or do whatever I kind of explained to my husband, I was like, it'd be as if you were in a room with John Maxwell, the ultimate leader. and you chose to belittle him, or you didn't give him attention, or you didn't do whatever, at the end of the day, everybody would have walked out of that room being like, that was on them, right?
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't be like, oh, John Maxwell's a small person. Like,
Right.
no.
Right.
So that's probably the biggest thing I think I've learned over time, is it's so much better just to be yourself, do you, right?
Yes,
and not
for
worry
sure.
about it, because it always falls through
Yeah.
at the end, and people always see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe intention. Fundamentally,
Yes.
if your intention is right, if your intention is good, I do believe that there's nothing that you're unshakable.
Right.
I believe that at the
Yeah.
very core. I do.
Mhm.
So,
I love it.
yeah.
That is awesome. Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
All right, Krista. So obviously we know you are a go-getter and you move and make things happen. So tell us really quick, when you are going after a project, really working on something, obviously you're working on this, project right now. I'm excited about this event you have. What does that process look like for you? Tell it. We're going to peel some onion layers out.
yeah.
And tell us what that process looks like for you.
That's so funny because I am a strategist for everyone else, but probably the least strategic for my own business.
And the
That's so
truth
funny.
comes out. I love
Right.
it. It's usually how it is.
Yeah,
isn't
it really is.
Like the accountant's great at doing everybody else's taxes, and then they put extensions on theirs. They don't go out till October or whatever.
I have the big vision, but I'm going to tell you that if I'm very honest with you, and I hope this is okay to say, but this is a faith journey,
Yeah.
and I have to put the journey before myself. So I often sit back and watch. I have an opportunity to pray on it. I have an opportunity to see how it grows organically. I have an opportunity to see how women respond, interact with one another, and based on those cues, really, that's how this is manifesting. Because it's supposed to serve a need, and I've got to get in the trenches and learn what those needs are. And sometimes that means you have to sit back and you have to listen. You have to be the spectator. You really do, before you can plan,
Yeah.
accordingly. So,
I
I mean,
get it.
there are some basic plans, and there's a big vision, of course, and I know that. But when we're talking about that day to day,
Right.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I get that.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that, because I feel like you're resonating with
Yes.
me. People ask me, it's like, what did you do today? Well, I'll let you look at my to-do list, because I do make a to-do list every day, but I think what I'm hearing from what you're saying is that it's faith-based. I mean, you're really going with where your heart is leading you, and you're probably listening a lot to intuition,
For sure.
and that we don't know what that looks like from day to day.
Yeah.
Because you may be led a different direction the next day. Something happens, somebody crosses your path, and it puts you in a different space. And so I get it. But the other thing I'm hearing too is that you're manifesting all these things because you're probably expecting some big things to happen, but your heart is in this in the right reason. You've got the right intentions, and
Yeah.
it's all,
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't believe in forcing anything.
Yeah.
And this isn't this. I'm not, building a car wash where there's very specific things, operational
Right,
things that you have
right.
to do. I mean, again, the framework of the business is there, but I'm talking about how we serve.
Yeah.
That really has to go from a growth place. That has to go, from understanding the needs of women. And as you know, we're in a real big place of change and flux
Yeah.
in the culture of women.
Right.
And so if I'm going to be a good steward of that, I've got to learn too. Part of my journey is learning and interacting and, having these moments with other women and
I agree.
getting to know people. So, and exposing myself, and challenging myself. Where do I need to grow so that I can be an ambassador and a testimony to what I'm talking about? So,
Amen, girl. I love it.
I know.
Amen.
I know. I think it's interesting too. You've been consulting for a really long time, and now you're like launching a media company. And my brain's like, I don't even know what step one is. And I know I'm not the only one thinking that. So like, what does that like look like? I mean, were there some crossover things? I mean, are you talking to people that have done it? Like, what does that even look like for you?
a lot of research, but as you know, everyone has a different way. There's all these shortcuts now of building media. I mean, digital media is all over the place. You look at Refinery 29, it's very different from your BuzzFeed, from your Huffington Post, and it's crazy busy out there. And so I've researched all of those, but I want to find it. See, I'm an innovator, and that's again future. It goes back to my futurist, my strengths finder, and all that. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it differently. So while I do look for cues and I get mentorship and I ask a lot of questions and I read 100 articles about how they built an online magazine.
Right.
Yes, I did Google online magazine. How to build an online magazine. I did Google that.
That's awesome.
Really, at the end of the day, because I am the innovator, that's who I am as a person. I'm saying, how can Krista Medlock do this different? how can she be the next Hearst Communications that does all of her media assets different? Mm-hmm. How can I compel people to actually read? How can I compel people to pay attention? How can I move people to action and to change? Because there's a lot of noise, mm-hmm. and especially with women's publications. And listen, every publication has its purpose, but I want us to serve a different purpose, and I want us to be a self-devotional magazine that when people read it, they're better, they're changed, they work towards something different within themselves, not looking at a picture and saying I need to emulate that. Right. I want people to walk away and say, I have the courage and the challenge to be the best person, to your point with your book, the best mm-hmm. version of myself. Exactly. I can do it because it says so. It says that here's some practical practical right. ideas and testimonies from other women that have done it.
Right.
So. And tell them the statement of what your magazine is, because I think that would be helpful.
The Beauty Positive Movement. Mm-hmm. Yes. So it's for women by women, and all of the material, all the content, all of the imagery will be beauty positive. So it's all about, again, fortifying ladies from the inside out. Mm-hmm. So all of the content, while we're talking about beauty, and we are talking about lifestyle, and we are talking about finance, and we are talking about family and health, but it's all coming from the place of personal responsibility and identity first. Because if you don't have that, there is no amount of reading of finance and success if you don't even feel like you can have that.
Right.
That you can work towards that you have the skill set to do that. So we start every article with a vantage point that talks about, okay, let's get our mind right first so that mm-hmm. you can receive this and do what we really need to do with it.
Yeah, and you even talked about capturing the woman's spirit.
Yes.
And I feel like that's something that people don't even think to address. So I thought that was really interesting and wanting to have that be a piece of the conversation.
I say we're saving souls, and I don't mean that. This is for everyone. It's not about religion. Mm-hmm. We are saving women's souls. Mm-hmm. I believe that.
Yeah.
And what I mean that is that now they can become whoever they were supposed to be, they were intended to be, and serve the in the way that they were supposed to serve.
She could almost be a spokesman for our starter girls.
Oh, I know.
This is what we do. This is why we do what we do. It's all about, I talk about in my book the butterfly effect. It's like you change one life and it impacts many. We can only do so much ourselves. Yeah. There's only so many people we can reach, right? Mm-hmm. And that was one of the reasons when we started this, because yes, being in network marketing, we could reach people. The idea was you bring people in and hopefully they will reach them, right? More people. Not everybody has that same vision, right? Yeah. So in doing this, it gives us at least, I feel like a little bit of ability to tap into more people and share that. But her stuff is like so point on. I'm like excited.
So now y'all are both going to be writing for the...
Yes, we would love to.
We'll put your podcast on the website. Let's get it going.
Done. We're going to be like talking when we're done here. I'm so excited.
Partnership all day long.
I love it. Yeah. So I guess what we want to ask is, this is a fun question. What is your strongest quality, Krista?
Oh, you know what? It's funny. What people say my quality is very different from what I think my quality is. I keep hearing this come back to me, and I don't know why, is that I'm a connector. And not necessarily a connector with just introducing people, but I'm able to connect with people in a way, even one-on-one, that I don't even realize I'm actually doing. You can sense that you might have an influence on people, but you don't really know what that takeaway is until somebody comes back to you and says, you know how you made me, this is what you did when we had our conversation. So that's what people say. Mm-hmm. I just think that I'm an innovator of message, and so I'm able to say and see and do things differently than what other people can do. But I also challenge myself I challenge ideas, I challenge, concepts, I challenge, everything to see how I can disrupt people's, thinking. And I think I do have a gift. I think that's why I was successful in brand strategy.
Yeah.
She's like my sister from another mother or something. I don't know, father, whatever they say. I'm like listening to you and I'm like, this is so, it's like I'm talking to myself. But that to me is a connector. When you think about what you're doing, you're delivering a message, because that's what people say about me too. I'm a connector. Yeah. And it's not always so much that I connect people. Yeah. It's that I can connect with people. Yeah. Like I can hear something and I can see bigger picture. Like, okay, you've got this going on. What can we do with this that you're telling me right now? Yeah. That's why I guard my energy. If I'm around people that are negative, I can't. To me, I can't connect. I cannot connect on that level and buy into that. So I have to get you to either change that or we got to stop talking. We just got to cut that. We just got to stop.
Yeah.
So I get that. I love it. But I could totally see that you're a connector. I could totally see that.
Well, okay, so that's what everybody says about you, but what do you think yours is?
Well, no,
She said that.
It's the same? Okay.
Well, she said message, the message, like a message deliverer.
Yeah, to be innovative in how we deliver the message.
Yes. I do. I can totally see both.
Yeah.
Which they look very
100%.
similar to me when you think about it.
It is.
Because connecting, when you connect,
Yeah.
you're delivering a message.
Yeah, that's true.
You're having some kind of, if you're connecting with something, there's something you're saying that somebody is buying into. They're I don't know what it is. Either they just think you're gorgeous, and they're like, But no, there's something you're saying that's powerful, that you're making that.
Yeah.
Because they want to hear you, they want to listen to you.
Yeah.
See?
And I think I do have discernment and I'm intuitive about people's energy. People call it an empath. I don't know if I'm actually an empath or
I'm
not.
an empath.
But we sense people's energy, and we sense what people may be, dealing with in that moment. And I think just being sensitive to that and being able to respond and interact with that person based on that energy or based on what's happening in that moment. I told myself a long time ago, I think in my early 20s, and I don't know where this came from, but I was like, I'm going to be one of those people that anytime I talk to somebody, I'm able to have a conversation looking at them in their eyes. I'm not going to be one of these people that wants to look down, look around, and not make that connection. And when I said that, I don't know that I've ever, unless somebody makes me mad.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to show them how mad I am.
You're trying to hide it. It's all over
It's all over my head.
She's like, I'm going to look at you.
Because I'm very obvious in my facial expressions.
She's like, let me look down.
Yes,
I'm not going to show you my eyes, and I just want to go nuts right now.
Yes.
Right?
And then when it boils over, I'm like, okay, look, and it's back to the eyes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So I would love to know, with just all the fun things you've already done in your life, who has been one of your biggest influencer? Who is your biggest influencer?
There's two people. Can I say two?
Of course.
Okay. So I hope she listens to this. In fact, I might even send it to her. But there was a lady when I was 13 years old. Her name was Renee Carroll Great. And I was big time into different ministries and stuff like that. And we were at a youth meeting one day on a Sunday afternoon, and I was just being I was being a horrible 13 to my mom. I was talking back to her. I just treated her badly. And at the time, I was just angry. I don't even know why I was angry at 13. I was just an angry preteen or whatever that just wanted to take it out. And she walked up to me and she said, and looked at me in my eyes, she said, if I was your daughter, I'd be so ashamed.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, I don't know what about that in that moment hit me. And it wasn't shame. It wasn't necessarily shame within me. It was conviction. It was, my heart was broken for my mom.
Yeah.
My heart was broken for all the people that were sitting there watching my mom be treated that way.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, I've got to make a change. Wow. I cannot treat my mom like that. And forever, I think, number one, and which is funny because the second person that I'm going to say is my mom, and it sounds cliche, but when I tell you she's my best friend, she really is my best friend. You know what I'm saying? She is, and she's a cutesy mom, but we have very different styles. You've met my mom.
I know. I was like, she's gonna say her mom, and I was like, and anybody that knew her mom would want to say her mom too, because her mom is amazing.
Isn't she cute?
Oh my goodness, the
she's
nicest,
adorable.
Sweetest, most amazing woman, and your sister, that I got to meet as well.
Yes.
I mean, your family is so high quality. So
thank you,
man. It's so interesting too that the lady said that to your mom, because if she said it to you,
no, she said it to me.
Oh, she said it to you.
To me.
Yes. But it was like there was a way that she phrased it.
Yeah,
that it didn't make you pop off. It made you feel bad.
No, it really whatever something needed to give at that moment in my life. I don't know if it was just Renee Carroll Great. Something bigger needed to happen. Say you're going somewhere, and this can't be who you are. You cannot be this girl.
Yeah.
I have those checkpoints. I mean, I have a higher power that says, okay, girl, you're getting a little bit off. You need to get yourself in check. I do have those moments, growth moments.
Hello, moment. Yes. It's called being mindful.
Yes.
Right. Recognizing your sabotaging behaviors.
Yes.
I love that. I think we all, well, those of us that are growing always have those moments. And I think it's a perpetual thing. I think you have to go through life and you're like, I probably didn't handle that in the best manner. What do I need to do differently next time? So that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So, but I love that, and that was good because
Mm-hmm.
I could see, if somebody had said that to one of my children. I wish maybe I need somebody to say that to my son every once in a
Do you
while.
need me to like plant myself
Yeah,
somewhere?
Sean, I would be embarrassed if I was your son because my kids would. I could see that totally being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
good.
something to hear about that, and then you look over there and you see your mom or your dad or whoever they're speaking about, and that hurts.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a fun question for you. If you could be any superhero or character, who would you pick?
Okay, y'all are gonna I'm like the most ignorant when it comes to Marvel and
Totally
all
fine.
of that. I'm one of those people, so when a guy asks me on a date to go there, I'm like, oh yeah, rock on, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have no idea who this is.
Oh my gosh.
Dasher,
If
Lightning,
you're talking
or
Marvels,
whatever.
there's like a ton of them. Apparently,
Yeah.
you need to see all of them.
Right, exactly, for
So,
sure. Like, I have sat through a lot of movies. I couldn't tell you who they are.
Iron Man.
Let me just say, if I had to title myself and what I would like to do to make sure that everything comes to fruition, not necessarily Superwoman herself, but just bringing on that ability, that mountaintop thinking that I am a Superwoman and I can do this, I think I would have to say that. I mean, it sounds so like, fundamental, but I'd love to be able to say I'm a Superwoman and really own that, right?
You kind of are Superwoman.
Oh,
See? Just claim it. I am Superwoman.
gosh, I'm feeling so good. I'm gonna rock the world when I leave here today.
I know, we're all in the same it's good when you get people, like-minded people in the room, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're an empath and you can feed off energy.
Yeah.
And then you know the opposite when that isn't happening,
I
right?
know. You go home drained. You're like, I gotta need a few minutes.
Hey, listen, every once in a while, it's very seldom that I ever meet anybody who can match me in energy. It's very seldom. And there was one day we were talking about this, and I think you met one of my friends. So I went to a networking event, and I went somewhere else that day. And that day, it was like 2 ladies that actually topped my energy level. And I was like, I went home that night and I'm like, man, I can sleep good tonight. It's been a good day. Somebody actually beat me in the energy. So, and you might be one of those people. So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because
Wow.
it doesn't happen very often, but that's the thing. I mean, they always say, I read something today in the book. She was talking about how it takes energy and zest to have enthusiasm and be happy. Like a lot of times people look at people like you or maybe Amy, myself, and they think we don't really need anything because we're happy all the time and we've got this figured out. No, we purposely put energy into that every single
Yes.
day. We work on us every single day. We read, we listen to things, we pour into ourselves.
Yes.
Because if you don't, who's going to do it?
Yep.
Right? At the end of the day, who is going to build Krista up? Who's going to build Amy up?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's going to build Jennifer up?
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it.
Yep.
Right? And so it doesn't mean that you're I guess you are extraordinary, but it doesn't mean that you are necessarily any different than anybody else, because anybody could choose to do that. It is a choice.
Yes.
You can wake up and say you want to be different tomorrow.
I agree.
Right?
Yep.
And I
For
love
sure.
what you're doing. I think
Thank
you're impressive.
you.
Do you have any other
Thank
questions
you.
you want to ask her? Anything else you can think of?
No, but I did want to just give a shout out really quick to Alini. If
Yes.
you're watching us
Yes.
on the video, she is
She's
sitting
here.
in with us today, and she's already been really great at collaborating with us. She's kind of our behind the scenes girl that is helping us with social media, with videos, with guests, just all sorts of different invitations and things. And so we just want to say thank you so much for being a part of Starter Girls with us. And
Absolutely.
you'll probably see more from her in the future, so it's really exciting.
Yeah, we're excited to have her. Do you want to say hi real quick? Is her mic up so she can say hi?
Let me see if
She
I
can just say hello real fast.
go for it, sister.
Hello. She's kind of shy sometimes, but she's super cute, super smart,
is
super
cute.
creative,
Yeah.
and we are super excited to have her here. And on the topic of super, because we're talking about Superwoman here, right? So we love her.
Yeah.
All right, so I think with that said, real quick, Krista, if our guest wanted to get in touch with you, how do they find Krista Medlock?
Oh, I'm so approachable. I'd love to have coffee. I do love to have coffee. I got to limit it, but I do love to have coffee. Just email me at Krista@thrivingbrands.com. On my Facebook page, Krista A. Medlock, and on Instagram, Krista Medlock 14.
I'm gonna stalk you.
Yeah.
She's a good one to
Oh,
stalk.
don't worry, because I've already started stalking you.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm glad we met. All right, so this has been amazing.
I know.
Wow.
Such
I'm
a
like
fun
looking at the clock.
conversation.
I'm like, okay, we have to wrap it up
I know,
officially
right?
now. This was too much fun. So
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, we do want to say, if you are enjoying our podcast, please give us ratings on iTunes and of course on Facebook, because as you know, we cannot do this without you, and we need you and appreciate you. And with that, I think we need to do our Starter Girls mantra and wrap this up. All right, so today, it's a great day to be brave. You are not getting any younger. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, you guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Amen.
Bye. I had to change the music. I was like, we